The Latin word fractus means broken. The word fraction comes from the Latin root and means a broken unit. A fraction is a part of a unit. Fragment comes from the same Latin root as fraction. A fragment is a part of something. Thus, a fraction is a part of a whole unit. A fraction is less than one whole unit. A fraction of total income, a fraction of a pie, and a fraction of a whole number are only a few examples. The symbol on your screen is a fraction bar. A fraction has two terms. One term of a fraction is the numerator. The number representing the numerator is placed over the fraction bar. For the fraction 2/5, the 2 is the numerator and is placed over the fraction bar. The second term of the fraction is the denominator. The number representing the denominator is placed under the fraction bar. For the fraction 2/5, 5 is the denominator and is placed under the fraction bar. The denominator of the fraction is the divisor and the numerator is the dividend. The unit fraction is the relationship of one fragment of the whole to the entire whole. If the numerator of a fraction equals 1, it is a unit fraction. It is assumed that a whole broken into fractional units has equal fractional units. For example, let the circle represent the whole. The circle is cut into equal pieces. One piece of the circle in relationship to the entire whole circle is a unit fraction. For example, if the circle is cut into 8 pieces, one piece equals 1/8, or 1/8 of the circle. If the circle is cut into 16 pieces, a unit fraction of the circle is 1/16, or 1/16. 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 1/5, 1/6, 1/100, and 1/700 are all examples of unit fractions. A simple fraction is a fraction whose numerator and denominator are whole numbers. 3/5 and 1/4 are simple fractions. Suppose a cake is cut into 6 equal pieces. Jerry eats one piece, or 1/6 of the cake. 1/6 is a unit fraction and is also a simple fraction. Suppose Sam and Dick also eat one piece of cake each. We can now say that 3/6 of the cake has been eaten. 3/6 is a simple fraction. Other examples of simple fractions are 3/43, 139/786, 207,896/3,021,932. A compound fraction is a fraction of a fraction. 1/2 of 3/8 is a compound fraction. 1/4 of 5/32 is a compound fraction. Suppose a cake is divided into 2 halves. Each half represents the fraction 1/2. On your screen, the left half is labeled A and the right half B. Suppose half A is cut into half. The top half of half A is labeled C and the bottom half D. Suppose piece D is eaten. Piece D can be represented as the compound fraction 1/2 of 1/2. 1/2 of 1/2 of the cake has been eaten. A complex fraction is a fraction in which the numerator, the denominator, or both the numerator and denominator of the fraction are not whole numbers. One example of a complex fraction is 3 1/2 fifths. The numerator is the whole number 3 and the fraction 1/2. Suppose the complex fraction is 3/32 and 1/2. Here, the numerator is a whole number 3, but the denominator is a whole number and a fraction, 32 and 1/2. Another example of a complex fraction is 3 7/8 over 13 2/3. Here, both numerator and denominator consist of a whole number and a fraction. Some examples of complex fractions appear on your screen. The first is 376 1/4 over 1,000. Next is 61 3/4 over 400 1/2. And finally, 23 over 89 1/4. A proper fraction is a fraction in which the numerator is smaller than the denominator. 1/4, 1/2, and 1/3 are proper fractions with a numerator of 1. 3/4, 7/8, and 2/3 are also proper fractions. Notice that the numerator of a proper fraction can be greater than 1 but cannot exceed the size of the denominator. 2/5 is a proper fraction. 47 1/100 is a proper fraction. 369,842 over 780,963 is a proper fraction. Also, notice that each proper fraction is less than 1. An improper fraction is a fraction with a numerator equal to or larger than the denominator. 5/5, 4/3, 2 over 1, and 6 over 3 are all improper fractions. To see that all improper fractions are equal to or greater than 1, divide the denominator of the fraction into the numerator. 4/3 becomes 1 1/3. 2 over 1 becomes 2. 6 over 3 becomes 2. And 5/5 becomes 1. A vulgar fraction is a fraction expressed as a divisor. 1 over 2 is expressed as 1/2 because the denominator 2 represents a half. 2 over 3 is vulgar when expressed as 2/3. The denominator of a vulgar fraction classifies the fraction. The fraction 4 over 300 is vulgar when it is read as 4/300. The fraction 5 over 6 is vulgar when read as 5/6. A mixed number is a whole number and a fraction taken together. For example, 42 and 15/16 is a mixed number because 42 is a whole number, 15/16 is a fraction, and the two are taken together. Suppose Jill bakes 4 pies for the county fair, and Jill's husband Don eats 1/2 of one of the 4 pies. Jill then has only 3 1/2 pies to take to the county fair. 3 1/2 is a mixed number because 3 is a whole number, 1/2 is a fraction, and the whole number and the fraction are taken together.